What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer for this episode, Logan Landers, and joining me here today to talk about an SEC matchup. You can watch this game 4:15 Eastern Standard Time on the SEC Network. It's going to be the Missouri Tigers and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Helping me break this game down from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, it is, of course, Jay McLovin. Jay, how you doing, my friend? And let's talk about this one. Missouri, it's been a really solid year so far, 7-2, taking on South Carolina, who's hoping for the upset. 6-3, though. They've had a really good year. All in all, how's this matchup going to rank for you?
Yeah, absolutely. In all honesty, I think this is going to be my upset game of the week right here.
Okay.
And then you got number 23 South Carolina going up against number 24th ranked Missouri, which I looked at the last AP poll on that, and believe it or not, Missouri's actually at 24, and South Carolina's at 23, even though they're giving Missouri as the favorite, right?
Okay.
Because they have a 7-2 record versus a 6-3 South Carolina, but a lot of things to look at. We're going to get more into that here in just a sec, but I had this as 37-13 in favor of the Gamecocks, and I'll get more into that as the reason why I have that score. But let's look at the quick stats, and then we'll get into that. So when you look at Missouri, quarterback Cook, 137 of 218, 1,575 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Here's the caveat to that. He was not in the game last week versus OU. That was because he was injured. That was actually Drew Pine that played that game. And Drew put up 14 completions on 27 attempts at 143, 3 touchdowns at OU or versus OU. And OU has not really exactly been the best team in the country, so keep that in mind. So I'm curious to see. Number one, that's my first thing, is who's going to be the quarterback for this team. Will Cook actually make his comeback in this game, or will it be another game, or will Drew Pine get a call again? Remember, South Carolina has a top 5 defense, and that's why I think if they go a Pine, we could be looking at an upset here. If they go with Cook, it's a much better possibility that Missouri could get the win. When you look at Sellers, the quarterback for South Carolina, he's at 115 attempts at 115 completions out of 187 attempts, 1,450 on the yards, 9 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So if Cook goes, then I put the edge at Missouri with Cook, and if Pine goes, then I'm gonna put the edge with Sellers, South Carolina. So that's gonna be a huge thing to see who actually gets the call for the quarterback spot during that game. When you look at the running back spot, you got Noel at 95 for 534 and 2 touchdowns at 5.6 yards per carry, to Sanders at 131, 696 and 10 touchdowns at 5.3. So a couple of things to note here. Number one, Sanders puts up 10 touchdowns, which is far better than what Noel's putting up. So he's getting more of the goal line carries, things of that nature. And he's also he's only like 0.3 less than Noel on the yards per carry. So I think it kind of bodes in the Sanders' favor. Also, I want to point out that when Noel went up against Oklahoma the last game, he only got like 10 carries, like 54 yards. I mean, very pedestrian, to the point that even Mizzou versus OU as a team was rushing for 2.9 yards per carry. Put that in your bank, if you will. 2.9 yards per carry. So, again, I think that kind of bodes, the run game even kind of bodes in the favor of South Carolina. When you look at the wide receiver at Weiss Jr., he's got 41 receptions at 552 and 3 touchdowns, to Simon, who's at 27 receptions at 357 and 5 touchdowns for South Carolina. So when you look at all 3 of those categories, literally South Carolina dominates in all, not dominates, but they have the edge of them in all 3 categories. I do think they dominate, though, in the run game a little bit more so than what South Carolina or what Missouri is doing, especially when you look at that OU win. I understand they got the win at 30-23, but again, this is Oklahoma, and you only get them by 1 score. But this is your backup quarterback, so there's a lot of things to keep in consideration there. I will tell you this, though. South Carolina is running red hot right now. They had the win over Vanderbilt at 28-7 decisively. But, however, they're also on a 3-game win streak over Vanderbilt, OU, and A&M. So let that resonate for a second. South Carolina hasn't beaten Missouri since 2018. So let that marinate for a second. So you cannot tell me if Beamer comes out as the coach of South Carolina and he's got a good little lead up on Missouri, he ain't calling out the dogs. He wants this game badly. And I think I think he's going to try to run the score as much as he possibly can. And this also is a big game. I think whoever loses this game is going to get bounced out of the top 25. So this is a huge game if you want to stay ranked. So I think South Carolina is going to pull out all the things they can, and Missouri is going to do everything they can to get Cook onto the field versus having Pine out there. But I will tell you, even if Cook does make it this game, and I really wouldn't ride with Cook if there's any lingering of a doubt, he won't be at 100%. So you're getting less than 100% versus Cook. I think I might ride Pine in this game. I think he's going to give you a better shot versus a hobbled Cook. Again, so, South Carolina has a top 5 defense, like I said earlier. Their defensive line may actually even be the best in college football, Logan. That's how good this South Carolina team is. Matter of fact, I would even say that the South Carolina defense is one of the biggest reasons why they're in the rankings, because they have kept them in so many good games. Missouri has had the easiest schedule. Keep that in mind. Missouri's had the easiest schedule. Matter of fact, South Carolina is only the third top 25 team that they're playing up against. They've had a very easy schedule, to be honest with you, Logan. And matter of fact, Missouri has even played less convincingly against competitive top 25 teams, to the point where they have been beaten 75-10 in the points when they're playing up against top 25 teams. So there's a lot of things going up against Missouri. I know Missouri is the favorite in this, but there's a lot of things in South Carolina that really kind of tends me to go more towards those guys, statistically speaking, on defense and offense. I think they're just a little bit better right now than those guys are, even though and that's why I saw this one headline that says, "Is Missouri the paper Tigers?"
Okay.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, And then when I started looking more into it, I'm like, competitive teams, 75-10, you're losing? Yeah, now I kind of see why. So right. I'll keep this short and sweet, and I'm definitely going South Carolina, and I think they rout them. I think there's such a controversy as who's going to start this game at quarterback. And even if Cook does, I think he's going to be limited in terms of what he can do. And I think they rout them 37-13. I think that top 5 defense comes out and shuts them down, only gives them 13 points.
And Jay, just to add a little bit more gasoline on the fire for that take you had, Missouri's starting center, Colin Tollison, is going to be out for the remainder of the season after a knee injury he had against Oklahoma. So first off, wish him the best in his recovery, but also that is not where you want to be if you're Missouri. Your starting center, the guy who hands you the ball, if it wasn't for him, no one had the ball. So he's going to be out for the rest of the year. You also mentioned we don't know which quarterback's going to start. We don't know. It's not been reported yet at the time of this recording, at least. So we'll see how that goes. But like you said, Missouri, when the going gets tough, they get going, Jay, in terms of they have not played well against top 25 teams, as you'd mentioned, when they just, for whatever reason, could not score points and gave up a ton of them to both A&M and Alabama. They didn't get a point against Alabama. So it makes you kind of scratch your head and just the uncertainty for this Missouri Tigers team. Now, when you look at South Carolina, and Jay, I did look it up, they are the number 3 team in the nation when it comes to team sacks with 33. Only 2 schools are ahead of them. Boise State being ahead of them with 40, and Ole Miss with 46, which is impressive enough. But absolutely, South Carolina is still top 3 in terms of sacks, so they got some dogs, right? They got some guys who can get to the quarterback, no questions asked. And when you look at just the individuals guy, right? Kyle Kennard, Jay, 9.5 sacks on the year. Dylan Stewart, 5.5. Tonka Hemingway, he's got 4. I mean, those 3 guys right there have some than teams. Just, I mean, that's how stout this team is. I mean, in the secondary, they got 11 interceptions as well. I'll take that any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
11 interceptions. Best believe I'll take that. 28 passes defended, also really solid. Now, when you look at the Missouri Tigers. Jay, 31 passes knocked down, 5 picks, okay, and then 21 sacks, which is commendable. That's a good number still. That's not, bottom. That's pretty solid all in all. But I think that South Carolina, Jay, like you said, they're just on a whole wave of momentum right now. I mean, this has been a team that when you look at the schedule, right, when you look at this team, how it went for them, right? So they get 2 wins against Kentucky and Old Dominion. Then you lose by 3 points in a tough game to LSU, which remember we were looking at that saying, oh, wow, look at South Carolina. Look what they're doing. So close loss there. Then you beat Akron, as you should. And then you get 2 tough ones, Jay. Obviously, Ole Miss, who we know how good Ole Miss is right now, and Alabama. You lost by only 2 points, though, to Alabama. So that's like, okay, not bad at all. Not bad at all. And then, Jay, you rattle off 3 consecutive wins, Oklahoma, A&M, and then Vanderbilt in that order. I'm liking South Carolina, Jay. I mean, Shane Beamer, he's doing something. You can kind of see it. Something's going on here. And Lenora Sellers, like you say, you look at the numbers, it's not going to blow you away in terms of, passing yards, 1,450, not bad. 9 touchdowns, 4 picks, 25 sacks. I mean, Jay, on most teams, that's for a lower level team. You know what I mean? Absolutely. When you have those kinds of numbers. But this is a defensive first team, I would say. Raheem Sanders does a great job. 5.3 yards per average, 10 touchdowns, close to 700 yards. That's solid. I'll go for that. But, yeah, this is definitely, Jay, one of those 70s Steelers or – when you look at the 2000s Ravens, this is like one of those teams where this defense is definitely carrying the offense more so.
For sure. To the point that honestly, South Carolina almost beat Alabama.
Right, they lost by 2 points. Yeah, Jay, they lost by 2 points to Alabama, 3 points to LSU. So if there was any drive that would have went different, you know what I mean, where you had to punt, you would have got a score. They could be a brand new ball game here. So that's the difference that you touched on that I'll also reiterate. Missouri has struggled mightily against ranked opponents. South Carolina has played them neck and neck.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. Jay, we're in agreement. Slight upset in a way this week. It's 23 and 24. But when you look at just overall record in terms of Missouri 7-2 and South Carolina 6-3, we'll call it a minor upset in that front. I will also rock with you, my friend, and the Gamecocks. I just think that when you look at the fact that starting center for Missouri is out for the year, we don't know which quarterback is going to play the inconsistent play against top 25 opponents. When you look at South Carolina, top 3 defense in terms of sacks, also have played their ranked opponents a lot closer, lost by just 1 score. So I'm liking South Carolina. I'll go a tight ball game, though, Jay. Give me final score 20. I'll go 28-25, winner by a field goal. I want to see a tight game. SEC Network, so it's a little bit more exclusive than some of the other cable ones. But it's still, I think, if you can check this game out, definitely worth watching for your college football viewing this weekend. Once again, 4:15 Eastern on the SEC Network. Hey, for Jay McLovin from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, I appreciate you, my friend, coming on the show talking about Missouri and South Carolina. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, enjoy your weekends, and we'll talk to you